Yes, guys, we are live here again. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Casper, aka Uselink. I have a different video prepared for you this time because the past 2, 3 days I've been looking into Renko a lot. I do that from time to time. I look back to look at the Renko chart because long term it gives a fantastic overview. No noise, no time involved. It's just purely a price-based chart, and yeah, I love to do it because the charts that you see when you go to the Renko is actually very clean and yeah, it just yeah, as mentioned just like 10 seconds ago, it just takes out the noise aspect of it all. I want to go through gold and silver very briefly here just to show you what the Renko charts are showing me looking back 50 years and yeah, just to have a different take on things because normally we look at the standard candlesticks, but Renko's has a lot more to offer, and I suggest you look into Renko's if you are interested in that sort of thing. I think it can really help you to look at things more differently. Um, but yeah, basically a Renko chart. Very quickly here. Again, you can Google it, you can YouTube it. There are tons of stuff out there to show you what a Renko chart is and how to use it. But basically, it takes out the entire time aspect of the chart, and each box here, in this case for gold on the daily, is 20 is $25. So in order to make a new box in an uptrend, you need the price to move up $25. In this case, you want to go from 1750 all the way up to 1775. When that happens, you will make a new green box. Uh, that's the very um, quick definition on it, and as well, you know, this green box can take 5 minutes to be created, or it can take 1 year. It doesn't do anything until it reaches that $25 increase. Again, it could take 1 hour, it can take a day, it can take 1 year. It doesn't matter. It will not do anything. And that's also why you see here that the time stamps down here is very skewed. You can see here, this goes back, this from here to here, that's 2011 until today. And from here to here, that goes back to 2000, excuse me, 1971. So you can see the time, oh, it's just compressed very strangely. Check it out, YouTube, Google, all you need to know, you will find it there. Gold, I haven't done anything here. I've prepared something before I went on, obviously, but I want to show you something very neat for gold and just how clean the setups, the bull flags, the bear flags, the levels are when you're looking at a Renko. And that's why I love to use Renko and go through all the ETFs that I track, all the commodities, all the stocks and all that good stuff to see if I have missed anything. Good. Gold here. I want to show you, this is the peak from 1980. There it is. And then I want to mark, the peak in 2011 right here. And again, what I want to show you here is actually how similar the setups are back then and now. You can see here, this is the peak in 1980, and then we have 2009 here, 2008, 2009, again 2011 peak here, and then we have from 2020 until today's date. I want to show you how similar these actually are when you're looking at a Renko. You will not see this on a different chart, on a line chart or a standard candlestick chart. You will not see this. I want to show you that what is really looking on here. I want to just I want to do like this. I want to minimize that one over. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Excuse me. There it is. Okay, I want to show you something here that I find very interesting. First off, I want to do the freehand sketch here. I think I'm looking at some sort of fractals, repetitions of what have happened before. I think this, in my view, is what you're seeing here. After we made the peak, this is the first move down, then we had some sideways, then we collapsed again. That stuff there is this stuff that you have here. Then we had a sentiment change in gold, and I want to remove those. And then you have, the move up into the same thing here again. And now we are breaking above the previous major high from 1980. There, you have the same thing here again. And this is where it gets very interesting to me. you can basically put a chart from a line from here to here, more or less, and you can do the exact same thing again here from here to here. It's a bit, there it is. So you have, I want to zoom in if I can get it somewhat quickly here. Okay. Also, you can see here 2 times we actually went below the previous all-time high from 1980. Same thing again here. 2 times we went below the 2011 high. Um, and then you came all the way up to the top again here at roughly 19, just a tad below 1K, and you made that low here. And this is exactly what you're doing now here again. I will give it to you. This low here is below the high from 2011. Fair enough, but still the fractals are somewhat identical, very identical if you ask me anyways. So you have many fractals going at once. You have this 1, 2, 3 move here, which is this in my view. And now we are in the final stage. In this case, it was just a tad below just hovering around the 1K level. And where are we now? We are just hovering at the 2K level, which means that this setup here, when and if we break this golden horizontal line here, should take us to somewhere around 3K. It can overshoot and so on, but roughly 3K should be the move for this setup here. And again, I want to show you, as we talked about at the early stages of this video, when do we have a confirmation above this golden trend line here, or this horizontal trend line right here? You can see the level, what we're looking for is 2050. And as you remember, the blocks here are $25 blocks, meaning we want to get above 2075. We want to get above 2075 in order to trigger this major inverted head and shoulders, which is also what it is. But in order to crack this line here, 2075. And if you go to the bar chart, that is also exactly more or less where we peaked out. You can see here the peaks, 2075. It makes sense. There are some great alignments here. So then again, a close or getting above 2075 in this case triggers the move to 3K. So yeah, that's one way to use the Renko. It can be used in many different ways, but to me, it's very clean. And yeah, that's why I use Renko, just to get a calm picture of where we're going in my view. So when this triggers, getting above 2075, we trigger a move to roughly 3K. And I don't think we are that far away really from that level. On to silver. Again, same thing here, clean chart, no lines, no nothing on this chart. We want to, obviously, everyone knows the highs here at roughly $50 per silver ounce, 48, give or take. But anyways, that is where we have the line here. And I want to go back, into the 80s. And actually, it goes well into the 2010s. But still, you can see here again, I want to show you how clean that setup is right here. This is a setup that started in 1980, right here. And also the trigger point was 30 years later. So this entire block here is 30 years. Actually, it goes, this is 30 years, but still the inverted head and shoulders started roughly around here. You have it right there, all the way down, and that's your right shoulder. So that was the trigger point. Very clean, but this took 30 years to play out, that major formation. And I can assure you, if you go to the standard line chart or the bar charts, candlesticks, and so on, you will not see this formation that clean. I can assure you of this. Going back to the present day, I want to show you again how clean what I call the golden trend line, which is always the line, the long-term trend line to cross for me to become really, really bullish. Not only for a few weeks or months, but we're talking years here very often. And you can draw a more or less perfect line all the way down to here. And you can see here we had some wiggle above here where we didn't clear it, but still, that is also why this was some sort of a false breakout here, a tad early maybe. But then again, that's also the $26 mark, which I have spoken of many times, is the big trigger level. for our beloved silver. Oops, excuse me. Again, you can also argue, if you remove that line, that we have a similar fractal playing out as just like we had on gold. So if I were to make this line here, this in my view could be that major inverted head and shoulders, and this stuff that is going on here after we collapsed is more or less that portion of the chart over there. Again, we had this trigger point here, so my guess is that when and if, I think when we break that point here, you know, in this case it's actually $25. That is when we're going to see that big surge here. So getting above 25, $26 is really where you will not have many pullbacks on the way. You will have a similar move as we did back in 2010 all the way into 2011. So yeah, that is, you know, same thing as we did for gold here. You can see the fractals playing out. We had the 1, 2, 3 here. Same thing again for silver. Obviously, this is a long-term cup and handle. Everyone have seen the long-term cup and handle, and this is on a linear chart. So again, when and if this triggers, we have a move from 50 to roughly $100. If you go on a log scale, it's a different take, but let's stay on the linear one. So again, when this triggers, in my view, we will shoot up very quickly to the 50 and then onwards to $100. Not in a straight line, obviously, we will have huge pullbacks along the way, but you can have a very early entry when and if we trigger that $25, $26. And I think when that happens, that will ensure that the cup and handle, or the handle part in this case, will start to mature to the upside and then onwards. So very low entry risk reward at that point in time using the Renko chart on silver. So yeah, that is what I have planned for you. Planned for this. You can do tons of stuff with the Renko, and I urge you to do it because you can really see, if you go to the URA, for example, put it on Renko on the daily, and you can actually make one trend line that shows how early we are in the move for uranium. We have just broken out of that. I think it is a 10-year long trend line on the Renko, and we are very early. So please go and check that out. Actually, I posted it on Twitter, so if you want to cheat, you can go and check it out there. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, Renko is definitely a tool that I find very undervalued, and I go back to it from time to time, as mentioned, just to see where we are in time, because it gives me comfort to have very clean charts, and yeah, that's how I try to make my charts really as clean as possible, with only a few trend lines. And in this case, you only need actually 3 in order to have this projected move to 100 and a possible identical setup here, which is playing out right now. Anyways, I'll stop talking. Thank you if you stayed until the end. Thank you very much. And do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you used Renko before? Let me know in the comments below, and have a great one, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.